The unexpected inheritance. The sunlight filtered through the blinds of Michael's downtown apartment, casting lines across his cluttered living room. The sound of his phone vibrating broke the morning silence. He picked it up, noticing an unknown number flashing on the screen. "Hello." Michael's voice was groggy from sleep. "Mr. Michael Harrow?" a formal, unfamiliar voice asked. "Yes, speaking. This is Jonathan Crane from Crane and Associates. I'm calling regarding the estate of your late uncle, Gregory Harrow." Michael sat up straighter, his interest piqued. "My Uncle Gregory? I haven't heard from him in years. What about him? It appears you are the sole beneficiary of his estate, Mr. Harrow. He left behind quite a collection of artifacts and other properties, which now legally belong to you. We need you to come to the office to discuss the specifics and your inheritance." Curiosity washed over Michael. "I'll be there," he said quickly. Later that day, Michael pushed open the heavy glass door of Crane and Associates, where he was immediately ushered into a sleek conference room. Jonathan Crane, a sharply dressed man in his 50s, greeted him with a firm handshake. They sat across from each other at a large oak table. "Your uncle was a man of eclectic tastes and vast interests, particularly in the interstellar trade markets," Jonathan began, spreading several holographic documents in front of Michael. "What exactly did he collect?" Michael asked, scanning the flickering images of strange artifacts and alien relics. "Artifacts, yes, but also beings from across the galaxy. Which brings us to a rather unique part of your inheritance." Jonathan's tone held a hint of caution as he continued. "Among these items is a living being, an alien from the Sorelian system. Her name is Ilara." Michael's brow furrowed. "A living being? You mean like a slave?" Jonathan nodded somberly. "It's complex, given the legal status of such beings in different parts of the galaxy. Here on Earth, she would be considered a person and must be treated as such. Your uncle's will stipulates that her future now rests in your hands." Michael leaned back, overwhelmed. "I need to meet her," he finally said. The next day, Michael found himself in a secure facility where Ilara was being temporarily housed. He entered a softly lit room and saw her for the first time. Ilara was unlike any creature he had ever seen, with skin shimmering like the surface of a pearl and eyes that seemed to reflect the cosmos. "Hello, Ilara," Michael started, his voice filled with a mix of awe and uncertainty. "I'm Michael. I guess I'm here to help figure out what's next for you." Ilara studied him, her expression unreadable. "I understand my fate is in your hands," she said, her voice melodic yet tinged with a sadness that tugged at Michael's heart. "Yes, but I don't want to make those decisions alone. I'd like to know what you want. Maybe we can figure this out together." Ilara paused, considering his words. "I desire freedom, yet I am far from my home and without means to survive here. Cooperation seems to be my best option." Michael nodded. "Then let's start by getting to know each other. Maybe together we can find a way forward that works for both of us." As they talked, Michael realized that this inheritance was not just about wealth or assets, but about responsibility and connection. It was the beginning of an unexpected journey, one that would challenge everything he knew about life, freedom, and the universe itself. Chapter 2. First Encounter. Michael led Ilara out of the facility and into the bustling streets of the city. Despite her composed demeanor, he noticed how her eyes widened slightly at the sight of cars whizzing by and people rushing about their day. "Is this your first time on Earth?" Michael asked as they walked towards a nearby park, a quieter place he thought might be more comfortable for their first real conversation. "Yes," Ilara replied, her gaze fixed on a group of children playing near a fountain. "It's much different from Cerelia. There, the cities pulse with bioluminescence, and the air vibrates with the songs of the winds." "That sounds beautiful," Michael said, feeling a pang of guilt for bringing her into his comparatively mundane world. They found a secluded bench under the shade of a large oak tree. Michael noticed Ilara's slight hesitation before she sat down, mimicking his movements. "So, what happens now?" Ilara asked, turning to face him. "I guess we figure out what you need to be safe and comfortable here. Maybe start with the basics like a place to stay, food. Anything you're used to from home that we can find or adapt here." Ilara nodded slowly. "I am trained in several Cerelian arts and crafts. Perhaps I could create something to trade." "That's a great idea," Michael responded enthusiastically. "You know, I'm an art dealer. I work with unique pieces from all over the galaxy. Maybe we could look at introducing some Cerelian art into the mix." Ilara's eyes lit up for the first time since they'd met. "I would like that," she said. "I have skills in bioluminescent painting. It's considered high art on Cerelia." Michael smiled. "Then it's settled. We'll start with that. But first, let's get you settled somewhere comfortable. Do you have any preferences for where you want to stay? I would appreciate somewhere quiet, if possible. Your cities are overwhelming." "Understood. I have a friend, Alex, who lives outside the city on a farm. It's peaceful there, and he always has room for guests. Let's go meet him." They drove out of the city in Michael's car, the landscape changing from concrete to green as they went. Arriving at the farm, Michael introduced Ilara to Alex, a sturdy man with a warm smile and a firm handshake. "Welcome to Earth, Ilara," Alex greeted. "Michael's told me a lot about you. I'm glad I can offer you a place to stay." "Thank you, Alex. Your home is quite serene," Ilara remarked, looking around at the sprawling fields and the animals grazing. Alex chuckled. "It's the quiet life for me. Come on, I'll show you the guest cottage. It's small, but it's got a good view of the sunrise." As they walked, Michael and Alex chatted about potential plans for Ilara's art. Alex suggested setting up a studio in one of the farm's outbuildings. "That sounds perfect," Ilara said. "I could start working as soon as possible." "Great," Alex replied. "And you're welcome to join in on the farm activities too. A change of pace from painting, if you're interested." Ilara considered it for a moment. "I would like to learn more about your ways of living." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the land, Michael felt a sense of accomplishment. They had taken the first step toward something new and hopeful. The path forward was uncertain, but for the first time, Ilara seemed to have a hint of excitement about her new life on Earth. Chapter 3. A Human's Decision. 2 weeks had passed since Ilara moved into the guest cottage on Alex's farm. She had adapted well to her new surroundings, finding peace in the rolling fields and taking an interest in the daily operations of the farm. Her studio was set up in an old barn, where she started creating her bioluminescent paintings, which fascinated both Michael and Alex. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Michael broached a subject he had been considering. "Ilara, I've been thinking about how we introduced your art into the broader market. How would you feel about a public exhibition?" Michael asked. Ilara paused, her brush in mid-air. "An exhibition? Like a gallery showing?" "Exactly," Michael nodded. Alex and I have some connections in the city. We could organize something small to start, see how it goes." "That sounds exciting," Ilara admitted, a slight tremble in her voice betraying her nerves. Alex, who had been listening, chimed in. "And I've been talking to some folks about sustainable farming techniques from Sorelia. Maybe we could tie that into the event somehow. Art and agriculture, a sort of cultural exchange." Ilara smiled at that. "I would like that very much." The following week, Michael arranged a meeting with a gallery owner in the city, a friend from his university days. The three of them, Michael, Ilara, and Alex, drove to the city to discuss the potential exhibition. The gallery owner, a sharp-eyed man named Rick, was intrigued by the idea. "Bioluminescent art, you say? And it's alien in origin? That's quite unique," he mused as they sat in his sleek, modern office. Ilara took out a small portfolio she had prepared, showing some of her smaller pieces. Rick examined them closely, his interest apparent. "These are remarkable," Rick said, looking up at Ilara with newfound respect. "We could do something really special here. What do you think about next month?" Ilara looked at Michael, who nodded encouragingly. "I think that would be wonderful," she said. "Great. I'll start setting things up. We'll need a good marketing angle, something to draw in the crowd. Human and alien collaboration, that sort of thing," Rick planned out loud. As they left the gallery, Alex patted Ilara on the back. "This is going to be something else, Ilara. I'm proud of you." "Thank you, both of you," Ilara said, feeling a warmth that went beyond the sun that shone down on them as they walked back to the car. As the exhibition date approached, Michael saw a change in Ilara. She was more animated, more engaged with her surroundings. She even started helping Alex with the farm animals, learning about Earth's agricultural methods and sharing techniques from Sorelia. The night before the exhibition, they gathered in the living room of Alex's farmhouse, going over the final details. "Ilara, how are you feeling about tomorrow?" Michael asked, looking over the list of attendees. "A little nervous, but excited," Ilara admitted. "I never imagined sharing my world with yours like this." "You're going to be great," Alex reassured her. "It's not just about selling paintings. It's about sharing a piece of who you are. And it's about setting a precedent," Michael added. "Your art, your culture, could help bridge the gap between humans and Sorelians, show that we're not so different after all." Ilara nodded, taking in their words. "I hope so. I hope it can bring us closer." The three sat there for a while, talking about hopes for the future and the potential impacts of the next day. It was clear that this exhibition was more than just an event. It was the start of something new, something hopeful. And for Ilara, it was a chance to finally feel at home. Chapter 4. Learning to Live. The morning of the exhibition, the gallery was buzzing with activity. Rick and his team were busy setting up the lighting to perfectly complement Ilara's bioluminescent art. Michael, Alex, and Ilara arrived early to oversee the arrangements and prepare for the evening. "Everything looks fantastic," Michael commented as they walked through the gallery, admiring how the paintings glowed under the specialized lights. Ilara, dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that shimmered slightly under the gallery lights, nodded. "It's more than I hoped for." Alex clapped his hands together. "Let's hope the crowd thinks so too. You ready for this?" Ilara took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." As the guests began to arrive, the trio mingled, introducing Ilara and explaining the unique qualities of her art. The attendees were a mix of art aficionados, cultural enthusiasts, and a few biologists curious about the science behind the bioluminescence. One guest, a prominent art critic named Thomas, approached Michael with a curious expression. "This is truly a remarkable discovery. How did you come across such a talent?" Michael smiled, glancing over at Ilara, who was animatedly talking to a small group. "It was a bit of an inheritance surprise. But meeting Ilara and seeing her work, it's been nothing short of amazing." Thomas nodded, his gaze fixed on one of the paintings. "There's a depth to this work. It's not just the technique, it's the story behind it, the merging of two worlds." Meanwhile, Alex engaged a couple of local farmers in conversation about Corellian agricultural techniques. "Ilara has been helping me on the farm. Turns out, some of her planet's methods are pretty effective for our soil." The farmers, intrigued, promised to visit the farm to learn more. The cultural exchange was unfolding naturally, spurred by curiosity and mutual benefit. As the evening progressed, Ilara found herself surrounded by a group of young artists, eager to learn about her techniques and the cultural significance of her work. She explained how each color represented a different aspect of Corellian life, from the deep blues of their oceans to the vibrant greens of their forests. Michael watched her from across the room, impressed by how naturally she had stepped into the role of cultural ambassador. Turning to Rick, he said, "This is going better than I expected. Think we could make this a recurring event?" Rick, who was busy taking notes, looked up. "I was just thinking the same thing. There's a story here that goes beyond the art. It's about connection, understanding. We could turn this into a series, maybe even include other alien artists in the future." As the night drew to a close, Ilara, Michael, and Alex gathered to reflect on the success of the evening. Sales had been good, but more importantly, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Ilara's voice was soft but filled with emotion. "Thank you, Michael, Alex. Tonight made me feel like I truly belong." Alex put an arm around her shoulders. "You're not just an artist from another world. You're a pioneer, Ilara." Michael agreed. "And you've opened a door for more than just art. You've shown that Earth can be a place of shared cultures and mutual respect." The three of them stood together, looking at the emptying gallery, feeling a sense of accomplishment and anticipation for the future. What started as an unexpected inheritance had grown into a promising pathway toward interstellar cultural exchange. Chapter 5: Bonds of the Unforeseen. The success of Ilara's first exhibition had ignited a spark within the local art community and beyond. Requests for her work and insights into Corellian culture had not only continued but increased. Michael had taken on the role of a manager, coordinating with galleries and cultural institutions, while Alex provided logistical support from the farm, which had become a makeshift headquarters for their expanding operations. One afternoon, as they were planning for the next series of exhibitions, Michael received a call from a cultural attaché interested in setting up an international tour for Ilara's artwork. Michael put the phone on speaker so Ilara and Alex could listen in. "That sounds like an incredible opportunity," Michael said, enthusiasm evident in his voice. "Ilara, what do you think?" Ilara looked thoughtful. "I would be honored to share my culture on a larger scale. It's a significant responsibility, but with your support, I think I can manage it." Alex grinned. "Looks like we're going international, then. But first, we need to prepare. Michael, maybe you should handle the negotiations and scheduling. I'll oversee the logistics here and make sure Ilara has everything she needs to create more pieces." "Agreed," Michael said, already drafting a list. "I'll also reach out to our contacts for potential venues and promotional partners." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Ilara spent her days in her studio, her art becoming even more refined as she delved deeper into her experiences and emotions. Michael was on the phone constantly, arranging the details of the tour, and Alex busied himself with ensuring the artwork was properly crated and transported. During a rare quiet moment, Michael joined Ilara in her studio. She was finishing a piece that shimmered with a soft, golden light, reminiscent of a cerulean sunset. "Your work has really evolved," Michael commented, watching her apply the final touches. Ilara smiled, stepping back to view the painting. "I think my feelings are changing, too. This planet, and both of you, have influenced me more than I expected." Michael nodded, understanding her sentiment. "It's mutual, Ilara. You've brought a lot of change to our lives as well." Their conversation was interrupted by Alex bursting into the studio, papers in hand. "Great news! The tour's first stop in Paris is confirmed. They're calling it Visions of Cerelia, an intergalactic journey through art." "That's fantastic, Alex. Paris is a great start." Michael clapped Alex on the back. "I think we should all go. It'll be a good experience to handle the setup and opening night together." As they discussed travel arrangements, Ilara felt a sense of camaraderie and purpose. The exhibition tour was not just a showcase of her work, but a testament to their collective effort and friendship. The night before they left for Paris, the trio gathered at the farm for a farewell dinner. They toasted to new beginnings and the adventures ahead. "To friendship and new horizons," Alex raised his glass. "To sharing our worlds," Ilara added. "And to making a difference, one painting at a time," Michael concluded. They all drank to that, feeling the weight and the excitement of the journey that lay before them. What had started as a simple inheritance had grown into a mission of cultural exchange and mutual understanding, binding them together in ways they had never anticipated. Chapter 6. The Art of Connection. The Parisian air was brisk and filled with the aroma of fresh pastries and coffee as Michael, Ilara, and Alex navigated the cobblestone streets. Their destination was a renowned gallery near the Marais, where Ilara's exhibition was set to open. The gallery owner, Pierre, a charismatic and seasoned promoter of innovative art, greeted them warmly. "Welcome to Paris," Pierre exclaimed, embracing each of them in turn. "Ilara, your work has created quite the buzz here. We are all eager to see it in person." Ilara responded with a polite nod, her nerves evident. "Thank you, Pierre. I hope it meets everyone's expectations." Pierre chuckled. "Oh, I am quite sure it will exceed them. Come, let me show you the space we've prepared." The gallery was a blend of classic and modern architectural elements, with high ceilings and large windows that bathed the interior in natural light. The walls were painted in a soft white, serving as a perfect canvas for Ilara's luminous art. As they toured the gallery, Michael discussed the flow of the exhibition with Pierre, deciding on the placement of each piece to ensure a narrative that would captivate visitors. "Your opening piece will be Cerulean Dawn," Michael suggested, referring to one of Ilara's most vibrant works. "It sets the tone perfectly." Pierre agreed, pointing to the central wall. "Yes, it will draw the eye immediately upon entering. And for the finale, perhaps Stellar Night? It's a profound contrast and a beautiful conclusion." Meanwhile, Alex oversaw the unpacking and setup of the artworks, carefully coordinating with the gallery staff to ensure each piece was handled with care. "Be gentle with that one. It's very close to her heart," Alex instructed as a worker lifted one of the more delicate canvases. As the setup progressed, Ilara took a moment to step outside. Michael noticed her absence and followed, finding her looking out over a small garden behind the gallery. "Are you all right?" Michael asked gently. Ilara sighed, her gaze fixed on a blooming rose. "I never imagined my art would travel this far from home. It's overwhelming, and yet, here I am, sharing my world with strangers. It's more than I had ever hoped for." Michael smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're doing something incredible, Ilara. Remember, each piece tells a story that only you can tell. That's a powerful thing." Back inside, the gallery was beginning to come together. The last piece was set into place just as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow that seemed to light up Ilara's paintings from within. Pierre clapped his hands together, pleased with the outcome. "Magnifique! Tonight will be a celebration of your vision, Ilara. Are you ready?" Ilara nodded, now reassured by the supportive presence of her friends. "Yes, let's share Cerelia with the world." That evening, as guests began to arrive, the atmosphere was electric. Critics, artists, and art lovers mingled, their voices a blend of French and English, with whispers of awe and admiration for Ilara's work echoing through the gallery. Alex, ever the proud friend, stood beside Ilara, introducing her to various guests. "This is the artist, Ilara, from Cerelia. Her work captures the essence of her world." Ilara answered questions about her techniques and the inspiration behind her pieces, growing more confident with each interaction. Michael watched from a distance, his heart full of pride. He caught Pierre's eye across the room and nodded. Pierre returned the gesture, his expression one of satisfaction and respect. As the night drew to a close, Pierre approached them, a glass of champagne in hand. To Ilara, whose art has indeed exceeded all expectations, and to Michael and Alex, without whom this would not have been possible. To art, to friendship, and to new connections. They all raised their glasses, their faces illuminated by the soft light reflecting off Ilara's stunning creations. The exhibition was not just a display of art, it was a bridge between worlds, crafted by the shared efforts and dreams of three unlikely companions. Chapter 7. Intimacy Beyond Worlds. After the success of the Paris exhibition, the trio decided to take a brief respite in the French countryside to reflect on their journey and plan their next moves. They rented a quaint cottage surrounded by vineyards, providing a serene backdrop for relaxation and deep conversation. One evening, as they sat outside watching the sunset, the topic of their relationships and personal growth came to the forefront. "You know, I never expected any of this when I first met you, Ilara," Michael confessed, pouring a glass of local wine for each of them. "It's strange how life takes us on these unexpected paths." Ilara smiled, her gaze lingering on the horizon. "I agree. And yet, I find this journey enriching. Being with you and Alex, learning about Earth, sharing my culture, it has changed me." Alex, who had been quietly listening, added, "And we've learned so much from you, Ilara. Not just about art or Cerelia, but about understanding and acceptance." The conversation drifted to more personal subjects, with each sharing dreams and past experiences that shaped them. As the night deepened, a comfortable silence settled among them, each lost in thought. Breaking the silence, Michael turned to Ilara, his expression serious. "Ilara, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Throughout all this, we've grown very close. I've developed feelings for you that go beyond friendship." Ilara turned to him, her luminous eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Michael, I feel a connection to you as well. I was unsure how to speak of it, given everything else we are dealing with." Michael took her hand, his heart beating faster. "Maybe we don't need to define it just yet. But I want to explore these feelings, see where they lead us." Ilara nodded, squeezing his hand. "I would like that." The following days were filled with a new, palpable energy between Michael and Ilara. They spent time walking through the vineyards, discussing not only their work but also their hopes and fears about their burgeoning relationship. One particularly warm evening, as they walked back to the cottage, Michael stopped, pulling Ilara close. He looked into her eyes, his gaze intense yet tender. "Ilara, being with you, like this, it feels right." Ilara reached up, touching his face gently. "I feel it too, Michael." He leaned down, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that was soft yet full of the myriad emotions they had been holding back. The kiss deepened, their hands exploring, touching, affirming their mutual desire and affection. They continued their walk, hand in comfortable silence, each processing the step they had just taken. That night, back at the cottage, their relationship took a natural step further. Their physical intimacy was a discovery of each other's worlds, tender and passionate, an exploration driven by love and mutual respect. In the days that followed, Michael and Ilara grew even closer, their relationship strengthening in the quiet moments they shared. Alex observed their growing bond with a supportive smile, happy for his friends. As their time in the countryside came to an end, they prepared to continue their tour. Their next destination was Italy, where another exhibition awaited. This time, however, they were not just traveling as colleagues, but as partners, both in work and in life. Their journey was no longer just about sharing art or culture. It was about sharing their lives, discovering new depths of intimacy and understanding, and facing the world together. This new chapter in their lives promised new challenges, but with their newfound bond, they felt ready to meet them head-on, confident in their love and the strength it gave them. Chapter 8. A New Dawn. The Italian leg of the exhibition tour was set to open in a prestigious gallery in Rome. The vibrant city, steeped in history and art, was buzzing with anticipation for Ilara's unique bioluminescent works. As Michael, Ilara, and Alex arrived, they were greeted by Marco, the gallery director, whose enthusiasm was infectious. "Welcome to Rome. We are honored to host your exhibition," Marco exclaimed as he led them through the grand entrance of the gallery. "Your work has stirred quite the excitement here. We expect a large turnout on opening night." Michael smiled, grateful for Marco's warm welcome. "Thank you, Marco. We're excited to be here and share Ilara's vision with Rome." As they prepared for the opening, Ilara felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. This exhibition was particularly special. Not only was it a celebration of her art, but it also marked a personal milestone in her relationship with Michael. While setting up, Ilara confided in Alex, "I never imagined that my journey would lead me here, to a new world, a new love, and a new beginning." Alex, arranging one of her pieces, looked over with a supportive grin. "It's amazing, isn't it? How life can surprise us. But you know, I always believed you were destined for great things." The evening of the exhibition was a resounding success. Guests from all walks of life, artists, critics, locals, and tourists, gathered, marveling at the beauty of Ilara's work and the story it told. Michael stood by her side, his pride in her achievements clear for all to see. As the guests mingled, a well-respected art critic approached them. "Miss Ilara, your work is not only visually stunning but deeply moving. It bridges cultures and worlds in a way that is truly needed in our times." Ilara thanked the critic, her heart swelling with joy and a sense of accomplishment. "I hope to inspire understanding and connection through my art. Each piece is a part of my heart, shared with the world." Later, as the crowd began to thin, Marco approached them with a proposal. "Ilara, Michael, your exhibition has been a tremendous success. Have you considered making Rome a longer-term base for your work?" The response has been overwhelming. Michael and Ilara exchanged a look, the idea sparking interest. "It's something we should consider," Michael replied. "This tour has changed our lives in many ways. Perhaps settling here for a while could be our next chapter." The next morning, over coffee in a small Roman cafe, the trio discussed their future. "I think Marco's offer is worth considering," Michael said, his voice full of excitement. "Rome could be a great home base for the work and a new start for us." Ilara nodded, her eyes bright. I love the idea. It feels right to lay down roots here, blending our worlds even further. Alex raised his cup in agreement. Then it's settled. Let's plan for a future here, at least for now. Rome will not only benefit from your art, Ilara, but from your spirit. As they made their plans, the sun rose higher over the city, bathing them in warm light. They felt a renewed sense of purpose and a deepening bond, not just with each other, but with the city that was embracing them. The story concluded without an epilogue, leaving Ilara, Michael, and Alex looking forward to their new life in Rome, where they would continue to explore and share their passions. It was a fitting end to a journey that had brought them closer together, challenged their perceptions, and allowed them to create a new home, filled with love, art, and the promise of tomorrow.